There was a report recently from Bloomberg which said that several Japan-based devs have been approached about acquisition. Is there any truth to that?
I don't think so. We're usually not out there. I say I don't think so. I mean, I'm not in every meeting that every team has, but I'll say not from me. It's most of the opportunities that we've had to date have been a long-lasting relationship. And so, I don't think we're out there with, our business card, throwing them out on the corner, trying to find people. I've talked about my affinity for Japanese studios and thinking back in the day when we had more games that were created in Japan as part of our first party. I'm excited, when the deal closes to get to spend more time with Tango and the work that they're doing. So it's an area that I'm interested in, but no, I don't think I think that's not accurate.
Okay, that's good to know. How, going off of that, sticking with Japan a bit, or just the region, how valuable is the Asian market to you? And what does Xbox look like there? Do you see any value there, if any?
Absolutely, yeah. And I'm glad you say, the Asian market. And when I talk about the Asian market from a gaming standpoint, the major markets in Asia are actually very, very different from one another. If you look at the Japanese market, it's very different than the Korean market, very different from the Chinese market and the Southeast Asian market. In the case of Korea, we've launched xCloud there, and a majority of the people that are part of Game Pass right now are actually xCloud members in Korea. They're not people who are playing on PC or playing on console. They're actually members of Game Pass through console. So that's through the cloud. And I think that's an interesting inroad in certain markets. Same thing with our PC focus and Game Pass on PC and our first party games that are there. I also have an affinity for all the amazing creators that are in Japan, and I spend a lot of time there, and I want to make sure those creators see Xbox as a great place for their games. And when I think about things like Kingdom Hearts and Yakuza and other games that we've been able to see come to the platform this generation. So it's both a third-party focus and a first-party focus. And the different Asian markets are different, and we will approach them differently. But absolutely, they are important. I will say they're not, I don't think I'm going to go into Japan and outsell the Japanese console makers with Xbox. I would like to, but it's not in the plan that I've written down. But we're going to work really hard to have the best generation that we've ever had in Japan, and the same thing in Korea and China. And I feel good about our opportunity there. And especially when I think about fans of our platform outside of those markets who want to play games that come from those countries, that's a commitment I want to make as well.
Does it feel like to you you're in a better position to do that in Japan and Asia? Because when the Xbox One launched, it was all entertainment focused. It was this giant chunky console that takes up a lot of space, and it was a very certain type of person wanted it, and it didn't jive with Japan, right? And now you have this console at least you have one console that's very small. The other one, it doesn't have a massive footprint either, and also cloud gaming is hooked into it with xCloud. Does it feel like you're in a position where do you feel compelled to take another big shot at it, even if history has shown that Xbox doesn't have a huge foothold in Asia and Japan?
Well, I was just thinking that our tagline for the Xbox One when we launched it was "Big Chunky Platform." I mean, the thing to remember about the launch of Xbox One is we actually didn't launch in those markets when we launched in the U.S. and the U.K. and other markets, and fans and customers of ours there saw that. And it clearly showed a lack of appreciation and support for those markets, for our platform. And so starting from, let's make sure that we're launching in all the markets where we want to have the console kind of globally at the same time, just to show respect for the customers there. That was important. I absolutely feel like we're going to continue to make a good, I feel like we've got the best opportunity we've ever had in a generation to do well in those markets. Our pre-order in Japan sold out almost instantly. Our pre-order numbers exceeded our Xbox One sales for the previous year. That was our pre-order on that one day. So when you just think about the volume and the interest that's there, and that's specific to Japan. And like I said, when I think about xCloud and how that's doing in Korea, when I think about the China market with PC and other things that we're doing, I feel like we are better positioned because we're less reliant on any one specific device. And as you mentioned, even in the console space, we have Series S. which I think clearly has a design and form factor and price point that we believe can do well. It's going to be about the games, which is why we continue to spend time in Japan with our partners there and getting games like Phantasy Star, Yakuza, and other games coming to the platform. More work to do there. It's kind of we'll never be done with that. But I feel good about the opportunity ahead. Absolutely.
Yeah, as someone who loves Japanese games and is also heavily invested in Xbox, I think the thing that I see is like it feels like Japanese developers, because of the global market, Japanese developers are more valuable to outside of the country than Xbox might be within it. Like, namely, bringing their games to us is perhaps more valuable than try and force, a presence in that area. And it definitely feels like you're doing that with like stuff like PSO. Bringing that over was a big deal, which leads me to my next question: is what are the chances we'll get a Lost Odyssey 2 from Miss Walker? Because I'm desperate. We need it.
Mistwalker's in a much different place. I think if we were ever going to go back and do something with LO, I worked on the first Lost Odyssey, fantastic game. We'd have to almost recreate all that means. But I actually just love, and I think about Blue Dragon, Lost Odyssey, past games that we've built. It's not lost on me that Tetris Effect is one of our launch games with us now, and it's Mizuguchi that we're working with, and we've worked with for many, many years. The relationships we have there of things that we've had to rekindle over the last few years and build trust. To your point about our console success, I'll say this as somebody who goes and plays a lot of games with my friends there and stuff in Japan. The fact that nobody owned an Xbox this last generation, meaning the people working on the games, was a challenge for me, because it was out of sight, out of mind. So when I see things like us pre-orders going well, I want to be part of the gaming consciousness in Japan, even if even if we don't win or whatever that means. I need to be part of the consciousness. I need to be innovative. I need to do things that engage those developers. I need them to find success globally with the franchises that we're building. And that's the area I've been most proud of the team's work on the ground there. It's not always been easy being part of Team Xbox sitting in Japan. It hasn't been over the last decade or so, but I feel good about the progress we're making. And I think it shows. You look at our last E3 shows, Miyazaki's showing his games on our stage, and somebody who's just an incredible creator that works with Sega, that works with Capcom, work with Bandai Namco, that we've had work with Square. It's been really good and really gratifying to see this.